name is Ronnie Geyer.
Give us a background on your life before the war.
I was born in Oakland, California during the Battle of Midway. During the Battle of Midway, when the Japanese were threatening to come to Oakland, California, my mom was expecting me. She was pregnant with me. And she was eagerly waiting to see if the United States Navy was going to be able to stop the Japanese Navy from coming to Oakland, California in June of 1942. This is right after the attacks of Pearl Harbor, our Navy base at Pearl Harbor. And when our U.S. Navy did stop the Japanese in mid-Pacific from coming here, she breathed a big sigh of relief and said, "Thank you very much." Relaxed a little bit on June 4th and June 5th, 1942, and then gave birth to me 5 days later, June 10th, 1942. Okay, we stayed up there up through my 8th grade, just about, and then we came down here to Southern California when Disneyland was brand new.
Wow.
Yes. After we moved down here
Yeah.
to Long Beach, California, I was riding my bike to and from Disneyland. It was brand new, 15 miles one way. It was bike riding distance, man, to Disneyland. And I went to St. Anthony's High School my freshman year there in Long Beach, and then we bought our first house in Garden Grove. And Garden Grove had just become a city in 1956, so it was a new city. Went to a brand new Rancho Alamitas High School. It was brand new, okay, new high school, next to a brand new Disneyland, and we thought we'd died and gone to heaven, and we had. We all thought we were going to grow up to be good Mouseketeers in the Mickey Mouse Club. They even brought out one of the Mouseketeers from the children's kiddie show, the Mouseketeers, the best dancer they brought out to us in Garden Grove once a month at the Women's Civic Club to teach some of us how to ballroom dance. Swing and all of that good stuff, twist, all that good stuff. It was great. And that came in handy in Vietnam. Quick movement, twirling around, missing, ducking. That came in handy.
What did you aspire to be when you were younger?
We all thought we were going to grow up to be good Mouseketeers in the Mickey Mouse Club. And I went on to Loyola University. I thought I was going to be an attorney until I really found out what it was about, and I decided that's not really what I wanted to do. And my mother died at age 20. With lupus, and that had brought up a lot of issues after my second year in college, family issues that needed to be taken care of. So I stopped going to college and got those issues taken care of.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
My draft notice came right after after I heard that I could volunteer for the draft. In other words, instead of enlisting into the Army for 3 or 4 or 5 years or 6 years, I could actually enlist in the draft. Volunteer for the draft for 2 years. And I said, well, that'd be okay, 1964. Even though I knew in my mind, my background's political science and international relations, that things were probably going to heat up in Vietnam. And within 2 years, I would probably see Vietnam. But I still was open for it. So I needed to go out in the world and see what the world was really like. So I was very open and very ready to see the world, and the Army was that avenue for me to see that.
How did you view Lyndon Johnson's policies?
I was ready to go to war. I was towards the end of my terms, about the last 9 months, was when everything really started becoming necessary for us to be more involved in. So I was stationed at Fort Meade, Maryland, and the President of the United States set up a conference in the East Wing of the White House to the country to say that he was going to be doubling our American troop strength from 75,000 to 125,000, and he had this experimental air mobile unit all ready to go in Fort Benning. It's called the 1st Cavalry Division Air Mobile, all helicopters, 400 helicopters. It had more helicopters than the entire United States Marine Corps. And I'd set up a television at our Signal Corps unit at Fort Meade, Maryland, for us to all see him give this address to the nation.
But we don't plan to surrender either, and we don't plan to pull out either, and we don't plan to let people influence us and pressure and force us to divide our nation in a time of national peril. The hour is here.
And I looked at him and I said, "I'm with you, Johnson, baby." It was President Johnson. And he had run the previous fall on the campaign slogan, "Go all the way with LBJ," okay? Lyndon Baines Johnson. And so, "I'm with you, Johnson, baby, I'm with you, Johnson." Baby, as I looked at the TV, and the next day I got my orders, 1st Cav Division Air Mobile. I was going into that unit he was talking about, so I was definitely going all the way with LBJ to Vietnam.
What was your specific job assignment?
I was trained as a radio man up in Fort Ord after basic training, and then those of us that were really good at Morse code and voice communications on the radio and stuff like that This is me carrying my radio in Vietnam. Okay. I'm weighing 118 pounds, carrying 60 pounds, 300 rounds of ammunition, a radio, batteries, antenna at the top, flak jacket, all heavy, and I'm leaning as far forward as I can so I don't fall backwards. Those of us that did well here in Fort Ord were sent on to advanced radio training at Fort Gordon, Georgia, radio teletype, cryptographic code, and for 2.5 months of more training. And after that, I was sent to Washington, D.C.
Tell us about your travels during the wartime.
After I got my orders to go to report to Fort Benning, Georgia, and then take a ship over to Vietnam, I came back. They gave us about 2.5 weeks to go home and get our personal things in order, okay? And then report to Fort Benning, Georgia, where we went on a ship through the Panama Canal, okay, up to Long Beach Navy Base to be fueled, and then to go over to Southeast Asia. And so I got to fly back and forth, which I love to do, in the Long Beach Navy Base for refueling, and we went over to the South China Seas. But in the interim, between Long Beach and Hawaii, we had 2 men turn up injured on board the ship. And so we had to divert from going above Hawaii to the South China Sea to Pearl Harbor. We had to go to Hawaii on, oh shucks, you know? At 6 o'clock in the morning, dawn, coming across from Diamond Head, Volcano Park, right off Waikiki Beach. All beautiful Hawaii. We got to see beautiful Hawaii in the morning, and a little boat came out, a trawler came out from Pearl Harbor to take 2 men on stretchers off our ship and take them back to Pearl Harbor to be taken care of, to be attended to. And then we were looking at this beautiful, massive Hawaiian islands and all of that, and all of a sudden, the ship goes like that, and we start leaving very much in a hurry, and that island becomes, you know, nothing, just very, very quickly. We're getting towards the Philippines, and there's a typhoon. And we were going through this side of the Philippines in high seas like this, in swells of 75 feet, going up and down like this. And the guys on the ship who came down to us and said, look, you guys are going to Vietnam. If you want to see what the ship looks like while you're going through high seas like in a storm like this, in a typhoon or a hurricane, we've put ropes along the base of the bridge on deck of the ship where you can come up and hold on for dear life and watch the bow of the ship go up and down like that. Before we got through the typhoon, we started to aim for going in through the Luzon Straits in the Philippines, and the government of the Philippines said, no, you don't have permission to go through. And they gave us permission, and then suddenly they said, you're a warship, you can't go through our straits, our sea area, so you'll have to go up and around us, the north side, which meant that we'd have to back up and go right back into the same typhoon. Thank you very much, Lei Chou. So we did it twice, and we went above the Philippines and went into the central coast of Vietnam.
What was your impression of Vietnam?
Beautiful country. White sands. Whiter than here. The sands are just absolutely white. A gorgeous country. And I'd be writing home. About the beauty of the country. People would say, and they'd write letters back to me and say, how can you possibly be writing us about this beautiful country, Vietnam, that you're in, when you're in such danger? I said, because it's beautiful. Everything but the sky was green. Everything was green except for the burnt orange color of the clay on the ground. The blue sky, and then everything else was green, green, green. You were surrounded by green. I mean, it was just beautiful. And then everything, we were wearing green. And so everything in the helicopters were green, primarily. And so everything was pretty green, just gorgeous.
Which division and battles were you a part of?
I am a veteran of the Battle of the Ya Drang Valley, IADRANG, the first major battle between communist Army regulars from North Vietnam that are invading then free South Vietnam and American forces. And that just happened to be my battalion, the 1st Battalion, U.S. 7th Cavalry Regiment, in November of 1965. That was Custer's regiment of Battle of Little Bighorn fame. Okay, only this time we won. It was the second battle of the Little Bighorn. Our 400 men were surrounded by thousands of Communist Army regulars at the base of a hill that was their base camp, 2 miles this side of Cambodia. And with air mobility concepts and everything else that we brought to it, something, a new way of fighting warfare, air mobility, we won.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
By letters. There was no Facebook, no internet, no texting. It was just simply letters, and letters were 4 to 5 days in transit. Okay. My letters from my family gave me comfort, my closeness, spirituality, my religious training also gave me comfort. My letters from my family gave me warmth and closeness with the family. My letters from a special loved one, which was my ballroom dancing partner from high school and college, gave me strength. So it was my first experience of what football's really like, you know, with the cheerleaders on the sideline and all that stuff. You ladies really do make a difference. You give us strength, and that gave me strength while I was walking through the Valley of Death, not knowing if I was ever going to see her or my family again.
What was especially shocking regarding the war?
I thought I was going to grow up to be a good Mouseketeer here in Orange County, right? Well, when I'm in the Valley of Death handling all of these casualties, I'm carrying our dead, wounded, and burnt guys from napalm, from helicopter to helicopter. I was shocked to see that, boy, there really is such a thing as hate in this world. There really, truly is. Not in Disneyland. The world's different than Disneyland. Right? Yeah, okay. And then I was stunned to see, boy, there really are people out there in this world who hate the free for being free. There really, truly are people out there in the world who hate the free for being free. And so, freedom must be preserved at all costs. And that's what defined me for the rest of my life. And to register to vote in the year 2004, they were showing me how when they were prisoners in the re-education camps, the prison camps, how they had been taken on the top of a table like this, and guards were holding their arms and legs out like this, and another guard would take a knife or a bayonet and cut them from here down to their navel. So these people were lifting their shirts and their blouses to here to show me the scar that was left, and it was this thick and this deep. It was a big, huge scar. It went from up here down to their belly button. Seriously. They did it, and they asked, they were in tears. They had tears crying to me, and they said, why did they do this to me? And I said, because they could. They were in power. And I didn't go any further, but the answer is that's how people act under hate, not love. The Vietnam War was always a battle between love and hate. It always was. And hate won. Okay? The people are not free to be all that they already are in God's eyes, and all that they can be while here on the planet Earth.
What are your most cherished memories as a child?
Right up this way, a maroon color, and stops right where I am, exactly. And someone gets out of the passenger department 5 feet from me, and it's him. It's JFK. Oh, I mean, he was the most attractive human being I'd ever seen. He really was. He had that charisma, that love that just oozed from him. I mean, he was everything that you've heard and more. He was just wonderful. I'd go up to him, I said, well, hi, Mr. Kennedy. Good to see you. Nice to see you, young man. I said, are you going to the convertibles to take a trip down to the Coliseum for your acceptance speech? And he said, yes, I am. And I get in line. And so I'm about the third or fourth down, and everyone's like that, excited. And I said, best of luck to you in November, Senator. And he shakes my hand, looks at me, and says, thank you very much, young man, for coming. Good to see you. Like that. And that was it. He went on to the rest, okay? I did not watch this guy for 3 days. Are you kidding me? He didn't watch me? Okay, after 3 days, it became apparent that I really should maybe wash his hand.
What are your proudest accomplishments?
This is my Purple Heart. This is Senator Ted Kennedy and I in our headquarters just before this battle. And in 1965, he had come with other members of Congress to see what the Vietnam War was all about, and he was given tours all over South Vietnam with American units and Australian units that were there, and ARVN, South Vietnamese Army operations as well. So we got a good idea of what the fight for freedom was all about in South Vietnam.